I've spent on the sabbatical. So you're hired into something and you can see where you want to go, but there's not like a clear path to get there.
Did you have any fears like, oh, when I come back, so how did you overcome them?
It's like a date. Sure, you're choosing a role that's going to fulfill you. It took a long time to reskill. You're going to have to come in with some fresh skills.
Let's talk about financials.
There's no right answer. I was going towards something and not away from something, which is also something I wish people would embrace. There's a lot of opportunity to see where AI is going to take us. Of course, that means some part of the market disappears, but it opens up a whole new window for opportunity, right?
Those people who are taking gap years, who are taking sabbaticals, career breaks, mini retirements, however you call them now, we support them with a community of people like Colin and others who can give practical advices on financials, on travels, on reintegration to the company. We even support people when they need to talk to their families, to their bosses.
Because it's a big choice, but I think it's so empowering. I want more people to do it. Hey, how are you?
Nice to see you in person finally. Yes. How are you?
I'm so happy I'm back in Amsterdam.
How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It's such a place of history, but also never changing.
Beautiful weather as well, isn't it?
Yeah, brisk, but it's beautiful. I'm loving this. Clear skies, so it's been very nice.
So, is it your fourth gap year now? Fourth sabbatical?
It is, yeah, fourth time. Each time for different reasons, but this one was a well-planned and well-needed trip.
Yeah. So is it now coming to the end? You're just coming back now to...
We're about 290 days into the trip, and we're going to be gone 400 days. So we still have about 4 months.
When was your first gap year?
My first gap year was about 25 years ago, right in the 9/11 era. And I actually came to Amsterdam to look for a job and didn't find one. Came back and took an opportunity to go be away from my job and be in Hawaii. And so I spent 7 months between Hawaii and Whistler, Canada, and just completely took a break from work, which is really what the point of the gap year was for me then.
And since then, you were taking it like every 5 years?
Yeah, I made 9 years at one company, and of course COVID kind of made one of my breaks extended because I sort of parlayed the world's pause into something that I could do for myself and re-energize. So yeah, it's worked out to be, I figured out the math is it's almost 4 years of my 26-year career I've spent on the sabbatical. So it's been a real great way to rekindle the fires.
Rekindling the fire is a great way to say that you want to re-energize yourself, right? And because you were probably trying to solve some pains you had with your work.
Yeah, I think it's not exclusively an American problem, but it's sometimes very difficult to grow within your role. And so you're hired into something and you can see where you want to go, but there's not like a clear path to get there. Mm-hmm. And so that often means you've got to leave your job and go find someone willing to put you up in the role and the pay scale that you're looking for. And so I was always looking to reskill myself and try to move as far as I could in a company. But I'd always get to some point where I felt like I wasn't able to grow out of that.
Which industry?
I'm in the tech industry. I do program management, and I've been something called the Scrum Master, which is helping teams improve. So I've kind of worn a lot of hats in tech, but in the Seattle's big tech sort of arena.
I guess for now, for your family and friends, it's normal that when you say, okay guys, I'm going to go to my gap year, but how was it first time? Was it scary?
Scary only because I was earlier in my career. I didn't have the savings and I had financial security. Also, I didn't initially know I was going to go do something for 7 months. It to me started out as maybe 2 to 4 weeks, and then I'll come back and get in the grind of a job hunt. But I ended up enjoying myself, being free and living really off the grid in Hawaii. And right when the money was running out, a friend invited me to Canada and Whistler to come be a ski bum for the winter, and that sounded pretty good too. So you don't always start out with these things with the perfect plan. This trip, I planned for 4 years and saved the money. That first one was trying to figure out what to do next and really letting myself find the time to get there.
Did you have during your gap years this how do you call it, FOMO syndrome, like fear of missing out, that everybody is moving on in their careers and you're not?
Yeah, I come from a non-traditional background for my career, and so I've always had a little bit of like fake it till you make it reality, which is, again, I've gone as far as I can in this role. How do I get to this next thing? What is it going to take? What kind of reskilling, upskilling I need to do? Also shaking the cobwebs out, just being like willing to be like, I'm not using that corporate speak anymore. I'm embracing a new thing, and then something emerges from that. It isn't always what you seek. It's like something that you're hoping to just see the next thing, and the light kind of shines on it, and then you have to pursue it full bore.
Yeah. When you started your first gap year, or maybe also second one and third one, did you think, you know, when I come back, I'm going to be this person, where from point A to point B?
I got progressively better at that. So I'd say after the second time, I took a long time to reskill. I took a lot of classes. There was some dollars available from either the layoff or maybe something local. I don't remember quite what, but it put me through some classes that helped me get some certificates that the employers valued. And so I saw that there was always like a path. You shouldn't just do nothing on the break, so it's good to, you know, pick up the ukulele and teach yourself something, or read lots of books, do something to be engaged. But eventually, if you are returning to the market, you're going to have to come in with some fresh skills.
Did you have any fears like, oh, when I come back, I might not be able to find a job, and everybody advanced and not? Did you have those fears, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think the biggest one is you're worried that any recruiter or headhunter is going to ask you what's up with your gap on your resume,
exactly,
you know, and then also hold that against you. And I actually say don't answer that question. It's actually a hashtag don't explain your gap, and I say that because there's no right answer. You know, you could have had a baby, you could have had a sick relative. And which one wins you the kudos you need to get to the next thing? I actually suggest people say, I think in the short time we have together, to see if I'm a match for this role, I'd like to move on to more important questions, you know? And you have to own that part of the relationship of the interview, because you don't want them to see that as off-putting. You want to just be like, hey, we only have a few minutes. Let's talk about how my skills fit this job, and that's it. And so how did I get past it? I really realized I can't change the world. I have to only change myself. And so I had to make myself employable. So that's why the reskilling and also the rejuvenation of energy is important. And you don't want to have that feeling of desperation coming back. So it's why it's great to have some of your financial part in line, so that you have the patience to pursue roles that you really want, and not just grabbing for straws. And then as far as like the fear of like people moving on, it's actually the opposite. I feel like I always got a better opportunity. I saw a better pool of roles. They didn't pigeonhole me into who I was. They wanted to know who I was right then, and how I could use those skills to help them, you know, to help their bottom line, to deliver some value that they need. So the more I believe in that, the reality is, make yourself undeniable with some skills that the market's looking for, and then be patient. And it's like a date. You want to both fall in love. It's not them choosing you, you're choosing them too. And make sure you're choosing a role that's going to fulfill you and give you 2, 5, 10 more years before you got to reshake it up and do that again.
Let's talk about financials. How if I'm feeling burnt out and I'm scared, I have many fears, but my biggest fear is financials. How am I going to survive in the next 6 months without a job? So how do I prepare? Where do I start?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is we've got to recognize this at some point in the cycle of your career. So right now there's globally a lot of layoffs, right? I'm sorry for all those people. They are maybe not as prepared as they wish they were. For all of us that didn't lose our jobs in this cycle, please look around and go, how can I be better prepared for my next unexpected job change, or when I'm just so burned out I have to leave this job, or the market shifts, who knows what it's going to be. And so it starts with having that realization that you want to be able to step away and not suffer, and also be open to things that you wouldn't necessarily have thought you'd go to. So in other words, sometimes you're not looking for your next role to replace the last thing you did. You're opening yourself to opportunity, and opportunity kind of leads you down roads that spark a new job that you didn't necessarily start at the beginning of the search looking for.
Well, as you said, many layoffs are happening now, right?
Yeah.
Gonna be more with AI. What is your view on AI overall? How is it going to change our lives?
I think AI and robotics are going to it's really going to be the next revolution in this world. And some people, in fact, some whole countries, I think, are going to be caught unaware. They won't be as prepared as they need to be on how to retrain themselves or retrain their workforce for a new job economy. Because the reality is there's going to be more and more things that both AI in sort of the ecosphere is capable of, but also more and more things can be automated, and that will lead to a pretty rapid shift in markets. I'll just tell a quick story. I had an opportunity to work through an early version of an AI tool that one of the big sellers on the internet wants to use to sort of eliminate the customer service layer of humans. And this was not your typical bot. This was not just asking you some questions with predictable answers. This was a full-fledged human on the other side. It almost passed your smell meter, right? And this was almost 2 years ago. So imagine 5 or 10 years from now where they're going to be. It will rapidly shift the service industry. It'll rapidly shift a lot of sort of what I would say low-hanging fruit businesses that they're trying to eliminate humans. What's interesting is how much it's shifting in all industries. I'm finding in the real estate profession my family's in, and in all things tech that I work with, there's a lot of opportunity to see where AI is going to take us. Of course, that means some part of the market disappears, but it opens up a whole new window for opportunity, right? Exactly.
There are many new opportunities coming in, but I think for a person who is losing job, to AI or for whatever reason, it's so tempting just go find a new job, immediately go back to this hamster wheel, and because of many reasons, financials like we discussed, other reasons like how are you going to, just all the fears. And what would you suggest, to a person who is in this situation, how they can pace themselves down and really take this? It doesn't need to be 1 year, right?
Yeah.
1 month, 3 months sometimes is enough to reconsider and to see other opportunities, which, as you said, AI is also bringing to you, right? Where to start this thinking process?
Yeah, I think you asked earlier, what's the why? What am I trying to solve? And so I've had a situation where it was like a single human that was like irritating me like sand in my shoes, right? And I had to get away from that person, that toxic situation. And so it was easy to see what I was solving there. Other times it's just the fatigue of life. I was a new father with a high visibility job with a lot of pressure. At some point that all squeezes down on you and you're looking to solve that riddle, which is completely different than the last one. In this case, I was going towards something and not away from something, which is also something I wish people would embrace, which is I wasn't just saying, oh, I hate my job and I'm overstressed. It was quite the opposite. I had a pretty good role. I walked away from it because I knew when my son was turning 7, this was the time in my life I wanted to do this trip with him. And so we worked towards that goal as a family, and we weren't just using a gap year as a way to get away from things. But I'm not going to just use this time to take pictures and enjoy some food, even though I'm doing plenty of that. What I'm doing is also like exploring for me in my head what I want to step towards, and like how I'm going to return to this this job market in about 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
And it's scary because as of right now I have 0 wants as far as like this is my short list of what I want for my job. But the exciting part is even today I saw a conversation between people that led me to say, in 4 months I'm going to have a conversation with that person when I get back, and we're going to find a way to connect the dots. That might not be the job I get, but that's part of my webbing I'm putting back out there to be pulled back into the market and use my network and reach out to people. And also I've put out a lot of goodness. I'm hoping to reap some of that benefit, just make some calls to the right people and just say, put me in the room with the people I want to talk to more often and see what role comes out of that.
I just wanted to say to our viewers that we also we support our clients, those people who are taking gap years, who are taking sabbaticals, career breaks, mini retirements, however you call them now. We support them with a community of people like Colin and others who can give practical advices on financials, on travels, on reintegration to the company. We even support people when they need to talk to their families, to their bosses. We also speak to HRs. We work with both HR companies and with HRs of the companies and with our customers to help them to structure their gap years, to have this feeling that you're okay. Our mission, I always say that our mission is to normalize the gap year and to help people to be less stressful during this period of time and to achieve their goals, to see clearly where I'm going and go there with a very good structure in their minds.
Yeah, it's something I would wish more people would just be both brave enough to do, but also find the capabilities to do, because it's a big choice. It takes a family in most cases to come together and decide that this is the right use of time, but I think it's so empowering. I want more people to do it.
And I like what you said about that all stars do not need to come together to make it happen, right?
Don't wait for the permission for this. This is something that you have to figure out for yourself that provides you more value than the year off or the 6 months or the 1 month off. That break has some value, and don't wait for somebody else to put the spark in you and the stars to align. Even again, financials might be tough, but this is a time for you to really say, I need to figure out what this means for me and pursue it.
Great. Thank you so much, Colin. It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Again, I'd say for you, I want to find a way to, I always said, why don't HR companies, when they lay off 5,000 people at T-Mobile, if you went to our careers page, we're hiring. They had 700 open roles. How is it that HR doesn't have somebody in there whose job it is to help redirect some of the talent back towards those open roles? And
it is cheaper, I think. I mean, it's financially more efficient and effective that instead of laying off people, maybe you just want to refresh people, give them new perspective, new opportunities, retrain them. Then you don't need to pay the headhunters for 3 salaries to hire new people. You don't need to wait until the person reintegrates to the company. You just take the person who already integrated, has a network, has a knowledge of the company, maybe needs a little bit of the transformation and learning, and comes back fully prepared to start immediately.
Totally. When I left Microsoft, I really thought, wow, it's weird that I'm leaving here and there's so many things I want to do in this company. And probably 3-4 months into that break, I had some opportunities come to me that I somewhat regret, because I love being an accessibility champion and helping develop products and services that help people of different needs in alterations to how they do their way of work. And some of those opportunities came after my little bubble of opportunity had vaporized, and it was COVID. And long story short, that's when I'm right now trying to dig through and be like, well, that made me pretty excited when I thought about that role. And some of the nonprofit work I've been involved with, I thought, maybe I could do that. I don't have to make this next step be some financial goal. It is, what do I actually want to do with my time? And that's been really fun to think about.